Hi and welcome in the next episode. Today we're going to cover for loops. So a for loop is a special structure in Python which is going to loop over a block of code which will be indented. And what a for loop does is it's actually iterating for every part of different things we're gonna give it. So for example, if we give our for loop a list, it's going to iterate for every instance that exists within that list. Or if you're going to give your for loop a string, it's going to iterate for every letter that's inside of that string. To create a for loop, we're going to start by typing for. Then you have to specify a name for a variable that's going to change with each iteration. I'm gonna call it letter, and I'm going to loop for letter in, and then I'm going to put a string. For example, let's say definitely Noah, and a colon at the end. And what it actually is going to do is the loop is going to take this letter and create it into a variable, which is going to be different with each iteration of our loop. So the first time our loop is going to iterate, it's going to take the first letter of the string, so the D, and then the next time it iterates, it's going to be E. So just one more time, our letter variable, which I call the letter, you can call it whatever you want. In the first iteration, it's D. In the second iteration, it's E. In the third iteration, it's F, and so on and so on. So all of the code inside of the for loop has to be indented, and I'm going to simply print out our letter so you can see it in practice. I can run the program, and what it's going to do is it's going to simply print out each individual letter of our string one by one until the end of our string. So as you can see, it printed out definitely Noah, space included of course. It works with strings, lists, and not only that, it works with many different things. I'm going to create a list just for this example. I'm gonna call it fruits, and I'm gonna populate it with some values. And now I'm going to change, so it's going to iterate for letter in fruits. However, the letter is just a name. It's going to iterate over every instance inside of our list. It's not going to iterate over letters. So if I start the program, it's simply going to print out each value inside of our list. And so I think a more appropriate name for our variable here would be just fruit. So for every fruit in our fruits, it's going to iterate over this loop. I just have to change this real quick as well. And now you can actually do different things using this loop. Of course, it's not just a single command. It's just like a while loop. You can put pretty much as much code into it as you wish. So for example, for every fruit in our fruits list, we could append something to the end of that fruit. So I'm just going to append a string test onto it just to show you kind of how this is going to work. So if I start the program, as you can see, it says banana test, strawberry test, and orange test, because it iterates over this value, and our fruit variable, every time the loop goes around, is being changed and iterated through every part of our list, of our collection. You could also do something like counting with that. You could create, let's say, an integer, let's call it x, and let's set it equal to 0. And then on every iteration, we're simply going to add 1 to the x. And then instead of that string over here, we're going to display the value of x. So I start the program, and it's going to start counting each iteration, each value that's inside of our fruits list. So as you can see, banana is first, strawberry is second, and orange is the third. Another thing you could make for loops loop through would be a range of numbers, for example. Let's loop for a number in. Then we're going to use the range function, and let's say 20. And we can simply remove our x value from before, and then print out our number. And as you can see, it's going to print out every number from 0 up until 19, because how the range function works is it's giving you every number starting from 0 and ending just before the number you entered. If you want the highest iteration to be ending on 20, you would have to put 21 over here, and it's going to go up to 20. What you could also do with the range function is you can specify an actual range with it. So for example, we could start at 10 and then finish at 21, not including it, of course, but the 10 is going to be included. So this range is going to print out every value from 10 up to 21, including the 10, not including the 21. As you can see over here, it's printing out values from 10 up to 20. And now if you want to combine the two methods together, we want our loop to iterate for the same amount of values we have in our list. So we want it to iterate 3 times. However, we don't want our variable to be those values. We want our variable to be the index of those values. So to do that, you can use the range function combined with the length function. Inside of our range function, type len, which is the length function, and then pass our fruits list into that function. So now our for loop is going to print out 0, 1, and 2, for those are the indexes inside of our list. As you can see, 0, 1, and 2. And lastly, what you could do, because you've got the index, you could actually print out from our fruits list using the index we've got from our variable we called number. So if you do it this way, getting the index number from our fruits list, it's going to iterate 3 times because it's iterating over the length of our list, so 3. As you can see, it's going to print out banana, strawberry, and orange, just like it did before. However, this time, the value we're iterating over isn't the actual list, it's the length of the list. And it can come useful in certain scenarios. And yeah, that's it. See ya.